twilight caresses the air. The river mist hangs sweet and fair. The evening swallows, they whisper their tune, dancing on the moon. Why have the stars called us here?
Welcome to Songwriters Alive with Tom Cooney. This is episode 25. We're at the quarter pole here, I think. And I'm very excited to have as my special guest, David Kleiner. David, good morning.
Good morning to you.
I'm
honored to be here.
Oh, I'm honored to have you here. And folks, you're in for a real treat. Someone who's been at the craft of writing songs for multiple decades, who's had a lot of wonderful releases, a lot of wonderful recognition, and is a real craftsperson with the music and the lyrics. I think we met in Philadelphia probably when I moved down to Philly from New England in the early aughts, probably 2002 or so. 2003 I first ran into you.
I returned to Philly in 1999 from Charlottesville.
Oh, you lived in Charlottesville.
I born, raised in Philly, moved as part of the Back to the Land movement among youth, and built a house there, and lived there for 27 years and taught there.
Wow. Now, that is the University of Virginia's hometown?
That's correct.
Wow, yeah. Well, so this is neat, too, because you are a teacher of writing.
That's correct.
And
I actually taught the teaching of writing one class at UVA. I was also a doctoral student in the teaching of writing at UVA. Wow. And I was the associate director of the Young Writers Writing Project, which is a summer program for interested and talented young writers. And I started out as a teacher there the first year, and then I became an administrator who occasionally taught and often sat in on the songwriting workshop, which was one of our workshops. We had fiction, poetry, nonfiction writing, playwriting, and song.
Boy, that is wonderful. So you've been around this craft for a while.
Yeah, started that in 1980.
Wow, that is great.
I did that for 12 years, I think.
Oh, that is wonderful. Yeah, we met through the Philadelphia Area Songwriters Alliance, PASA. You've heard me mention that on other episodes here, and we've had some other guests from PASA as well. If there are songwriters looking for a place of a like-minded and open-eared group of singer-songwriters, Philadelphia Area Songwriters Alliance is a good spot to look into. Very nice.
Sure is. It's so supportive. No matter what level you're at, you get support.
Yeah, very much. Very much. David, let me say a couple of nice things about him before, because there are so many to say, I better start fitting them in before he gets to his first tune. He's the winner of the 2009 Avalon Folk Festival's Performing Songwriter composition, and as we noted, has been playing for more than 30 years. He's headlined the Charlottesville's Prism Coffee House, New Jersey's Barrington Coffee House, World Café Live upstairs in Philly, very famous club. A song he co-wrote with Mick Choder in 2004, Stand Up for Freedom, won the Philadelphia Songwriters Project's Vote Festival contest. David has opened for Randa Williams, Hot Soup, We're About Nine, Dave Matthews, and Boyd Tinsley.
That's right.
We're going to check out a number of his websites and talk about his tunes today. And the best thing, of course, is you're going to get to hear David play, and you're going to get to hear him talk about his craft. And as this series is that great mix of performance and getting artist exposition, where are they? How can I get a hold of their music? How can I support them? And sharing tips about the craft. And all of our guests have been, as all songwriters are, really pretty generous and pretty nice people. Let's get right to the music, as we like to do in the show. And what were you thinking of sharing with folks for your first?
I'd like to share my song, Same Bar Blues. It's one of my older tunes that I still perform. And it is an example of a story. one of the four main elements that I look at in song is story. Now, since I come out of the folk music genre, story is really important. And so you for example, beginning, middle, and end is a structure, which this story has. And you want to end with a real zinger, if you can. And you'd like to actually, if you can, any ending, an end of a verse, you want to have a real zinger. So now I was rehearsing one day, and I overheard my guitarist roommate say that every night he would go to the same bar in Charlottesville. And he also said nothing ever happened there. And I said, Michael, why do you go there night after night if nothing ever happens? And his answer is the zinger in this song. Also, I'm a big believer in what my songwriting teacher, Fred Kohler, called furniture. You want to have objects, concrete things in the song that people can relate to. And also William Carlos Williams talked about only truth in things. So here I really tried to paint a picture of what it's like in a bar. And I've performed in many of them. This is called Same Bar Blues. Something's bound to happen. I don't know what it is. Things are bound to turn around. They can't go on like this. Same old beat up brass rail. Same old brand of booze. Worn out conversation. Same old, same bar blues. People say each time they come, they always see my face. I don't thrive on variety, but I sure do know my place. If you wanna see me, don't use the telephone. You know where to find me, so don't call me up at home. You set 'em up, Joe, I'll put 'em down. Don't drink alone, boys, I'm always around. Same old bar stool, same back room, same old, same bar blues. My friends bum all my cigarettes, they never have to pay. I tease the cocktail waitress, she loves to hear me talk that way. It's been so long that I'm not sure. It might take one more beer till I can recall the last night I didn't spend right here. I seen you when you come in, girl. I'll see you when you leave. I love the way you order. Please come and talk to me. You're always with a different guy. It's a pity about that, but at least I got me a place to go. I know where I'm at. I'm here at Songwriters Alive, baby. You set 'em up, Joe, and I'll put 'em down. Don't drink alone, boys, I'm always around. Same old bar stool, same back room, same old, same bar blues. I watch the place fill up. I'm still here when they close. Have my last drink with the kitchen help. And then I leave alone. You can find me any night. I'll be right where I was. Something's bound to happen, and I'll be here when it does. Something's bound to happen. Something's bound to happen. Something's bound to happen. And I'll be here when it does.
That was wonderful. Wonderful.
It's really a band tune,
Yeah.
but it really illustrates the point of truth in things. Yes, everything in a bar was in there.
Yeah, yes.
The stool, the back room, the waitress, everything.
Yeah, it was very, very concrete. And on the music side, you really handled it well, too, which is something I've always noted about your playing. You get around the fingerboard well, you play many different styles of music, and
That's true.
it provides a lot of great backup for what you're trying to do with your lyrics. Very good guitarist. I always enjoy hearing you.
Thank you. Thank you. By
Yeah.
the way, I want to introduce my guitar to your viewers. This is a one-owner guitar. I bought it in 1965 with my mom. And if you knew my mom, you'd know how comical that whole scene was. But it's a Gibson Hummingbird. It's 1965, and it's been with me ever since.
Wow, that is amazing. We're here on Songwriters Alive with Tom Cooney. This is episode 25 with guest David Kleiner. And David just shared his first tune with us. Hey, don't forget, we're on the first and third Monday of the month at 7 p.m. Eastern Time on Rocking the Valley. Does additional distribution for us on Rocking the Valley YouTube. And you can link off of their rockingthevalley.com site. And, of course, my playlist for this series, Songwriters Alive, on my YouTube page, Tom Cooney, has all the episodes. You can go back and see all the wonderful guests that we had. And what were you thinking about sharing with folks for a second tune? And
I'm going to do another story song, and it's based on an interview from the New York Times that Andrew Refkin, the journalist, did of Jack Hardy, the songwriter who's known among songwriters as a mentor. And he established a thing called Fast Folk that had many people that we know and famous people, Suzanne Vega and John Gorka, and then other people that we know have been involved in that. And the language that Jack Hardy used in that interview was so rich, and the situation was so emotional that that despite not wanting to write anything that could be construed as a 9/11 song, I did this song, which I consider a character study of Jack Hardy. The melody of this song is actually an O'Carolan tune called Captain Henry O'Kane. I used to play in a duo in which we did these old tunes. He was a blind fiddler centuries ago, but I made the verse and the bridge. The moment the first plane hit, I headed down from my place on Houston to the south end of town, while my brother was burning at the scene of a crash. I was past West Side Highway, knee deep in ash. Those twin towers fit onto one TV screen, but it's not near as simple as that makes it seem, to know what it's like when they come crumbling down with your brother up there and you on the ground. We have no words for this, no poetry for this. We have no nothing for this. I haunted the hospitals, checked every list, Someone posted Jeff Hardy, but that was not him. So I filled out some papers and went on my way back to the armory with Jeff's DNA. Oh, Jeff never had even one enemy, a political thought or religion to preach. He played his bass and he worked as a chef. Even people who hated me all loved Jeff. We have no words for this, no poetry for this. We have known nothing for this. We have known nothing for this. These people think they're revenging some stuff. An eye for an eye is never enough. Now we want revenge, and that is a shame. Why is nobody saying we need to change? We have no words for this, no poetry for this. We have known nothing for this. We have known nothing for this. I lost my first brother in South Vietnam, and I never recovered from the heartbreak of that. I lost my next brother in the heart of my city. I never recover from this tragedy. Oh, I used to write at least one song a week about love, about death, and the way things should be. Used to have 3 brothers and one constant muse. The words used to come easily, but now I am mute.
Wow, that is stunning.
Now, I'd like to say that this is one source for songs that people can use, newspaper articles. Of course, famously, Phil Oakes did that. And my album, The News That's Fit to Sing, is a tribute to Phil Oakes and the other singer-songwriters of the topical song movement of the late 60s and early 70s. So I want to point out a couple things. First of all, this song has a more standard structure than the first song I did. It has a verse, it has a chorus, and it has a bridge. The point of the bridge is to bring in some kind of different point of view. Now, the whole time in all the other in the verses, Jack was describing what happened to him. But here he shifts and he's talking about the people that did this, and he's giving his personal opinion on what we should do. And it really makes the chorus meaning change when it comes back in. We have no words for this, for somebody taking a plane and killing people like the way they did. Now he's saying, we have no words to describe our own attitude toward this. We want revenge. Why is nobody saying we need to change? Because we have no words for that. He's saying we jump right to revenge. Now, also I want to talk about the ending. It's pretty hard to have a zinger when the whole thing is about the death of someone. And we already learned that basically. But the kicker is that he also lost a brother in South Vietnam. And he believed politics were the cause of that, in a sense. And then to end with the word mute, about somebody who wrote a song a week for years, is the zinger there.
It's a wonderful, wonderful song. And and also a great example of how some insight can be gained looking at some of the worst tragedy you might imagine. And it's all part of the grieving process to achieve that insight, I think.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah, the words in there that really stun me, there's so many great words in here, is the chorus. We have no words for this, no poetry for this. We have nothing for this.
That's what Jack said.
Yeah, yes.
To Andrew Revkin, almost word for word.
Yeah. Hey, we are with David Kleiner today. It's just a gas to have him there. As you can tell also, David is animated about what he does. No matter what you do in life, all your work or your hobbies or whatever, you got to love it. And this is a great example of someone who loves what they do. You're always so excited, David.
Thank you. Thank you. There are some original videos in it, like 6,000 Miles Apart, which my daughter, who's a media and communications major at Arcadia University and who has a very prolific YouTube site herself, did those. And then I have in concert, it's mostly in concert, and one's tunes like this. Well, now that's a video. These were done at Pasa concerts. This was done at the Melilani. So you have a lot of variety. You see me with the full band. You see me solo. So you get a lot of variety there.
That's wonderful. Did you want to take a quick look at 6,000 Miles Apart?
Yeah, sure.
Do that.
On my street, we keep our distance. We stay out of each other's business. Mailbox empty, trash cans clear, garage doors open, cars disappear. We live in the same country, the same city, on the same block. Out for a walk, we make small talk, we play our part, but we might as well be 6,000 miles apart. A response to a challenge from Philly Songwriters, another group we're both in.
Yes.
And this was at the very beginning of the epidemic, and really before we had Zoom going. And the challenge was to write about things you see in your own neighborhood, out your window. Wonderful. Thus, all the things. And you see me walking around the neighborhood.
Yeah, I was going to say it's another example also of what you said at the beginning of the show, using concrete, tangible things you can root on as you write.
That's correct.
No box.
You want to
physical thing, yeah.
You know, there are no rules in writing, but there are rules of thumb. And the rule of thumb for a poem, for a short piece, like a song or a poem, is locate the reader in the first verse. Now, a lot of times that means put the name of a place, but it means more than that. It means the reader should know what the deal is, what the situation is within the first verse. And, you know, so you can have a location. When you're lost in the rain in Juarez, am I allowed to speak a line by Bob Dylan? When you're lost in the rain in Juarez, you know, you can have a location right there, or you can have a situation. And so the next song I'm going to do starts with the situation. And I hope the clue cues in the reader, listener right away. So I'm going to do my song Write About the Rain. It's off my This Human Heart album. It's probably my best known and most popular song. And I want to talk a little bit about the structure here. I'll give you my cheat right now. You're going to notice that a lot of the lines in the song, especially in the first 3 verses, if you want to think of that, start with the word you. You did this, you said this, you did this. And the concrete thing there is the words that his wife, it's about a relationship that's ending, that she said. So the first 3 verses, you did this, you did this, you did this. The last verse changes to I. And it's a trick you're going to see a lot in songwriting. And that's a way of making the last verse really come home with the zinger. So this is Write About the Rain. could feel it. Something was in the air. I had better things to think about, and I didn't care. I didn't care. You were sure it wouldn't rain. I said things will stay the same, like they've been all along. We both were wrong. Wrong about what I would do. Wrong about almost everything too. Do you feel better when I say that you were right? You were right about the rain. You said you read me like a book. I couldn't keep my feelings hid. You knew my heart better than I did, better than I did. But the things that didn't show, why I finally had to go. There was something you couldn't touch. I wanted too much. You said you didn't understand how I can feel the way I do. You said it's all in your mind. That ain't true. It isn't true. You said you don't mean nothing by it. You said suffer and quiet. You said to cut the crying too. Now the laugh's on you. The laugh's on you, 'cause you were wrong about what I would do. Wrong about almost everything too. Do you feel better when I say that you were right? You were right about the rain. Right about the rain. You were right about the rain. I said the end had come, so I finally left. On the way out to the car, I got completely wet, completely wet. You were right about the rain, right about the rain. You were right about the rain, right about the rain. You were right about the rain.
wonderful song, David. Thank you.
Yeah, if we can, let's put Right About the Rain up, and I'll show the viewers a few things. You can see you, and then the last verse, I. And also I want to show that I was able to put pretty good lines in to finish the verses. We both were wrong. I wanted too much. The laugh's on you. And then the meaning of Right About the Rain becomes really clear in the last verse. And this is another trick songwriters can do. If you're ever stuck, and this goes for essays and any short fiction, look at your beginning, and usually would tell you what you need at the end. And I just want to add one more thing. This is an I telling the story here. You can't rely on the I. This is an unreliable narrator. Yeah. And you can tell when he says, I didn't care right at the beginning. He didn't always give her the benefit of the doubt either. So a lot of things there to think about. Again, in the ideal song, I like to see that if it has a chorus, that the chorus changes in meaning a little bit each time. Because beginning songwriters need to realize the chorus is the same all the way throughout. The verses tell the story. That simple of a thing. You got to point out to beginning songwriters. And if those verses can shed more light, that's great. And then if the whole song can shed light on the ending, which is really right from the beginning. So I talk about it being a self-referential song. You like the lyrics in a song to talk to each other.
Yes, yeah.
And Taylor Swift is really great at that.
Yes, yeah. One trick I use a lot is I use the bridge as a 180, as a total contrast. I have a song of mine called She Flew Away, which is about unrequited love, mystical love. And it's fancy and it's fanciful. And then in the very short bridge, I turn it totally on its head and I go, we stumble in the dark, unlit candles in our hands, searching for love's spark, crying, someone please understand.
Yeah, the bridge is a way of bringing a different kind of key. You can modulate a different sort of arrangement, but mainly as a different point of view. And when I was teaching, I would always use the example of Every Move, Every Breath You Take by Sting.
Yeah.
And, it sounds so accusatory throughout the entire song. He gets to the bridge and all of a sudden he's sort of supplicating her. And we see that he's not as so strong and macho as we thought.
Yeah.
So you see that a lot. And there's hardly a point of having a bridge if it doesn't show something different. Yeah. And we're certainly going to hear that in my next song.
Well, that's wonderful. We're with David Kleiner, everyone. That's Kleiner in the greater Philadelphia area. Very accomplished singer-songwriter. And we're going to take a look at a couple more of his sites before David heads out and does his next wonderful tune for us. We had looked at 65 Hummingbird on YouTube. And, of course, you can look him up on YouTube as David Kleiner. There's a couple of sites out there. In terms of other general social media, Dave, I guess Facebook is a more frequent kind of post or entry for you?
No, not really. I'm not that active but on Facebook, but I do post my gigs. And I do respond. If I get notified that somebody has put in a post in, I always read it, and generally I'll at least like it, if not respond.
Yeah, that's wonderful. You see an example of that here. David was just on the Hootenanny Café radio show.
That's right. I was the feature artist for December 5th, and you can go to Hootenanny Café or his, he archives it so you can hear it. And I did a set. He asked everybody to do a theme, and
it's talentconnections.com, and
that's it, talentconnections.com. Thank you. So and it has a link to the archive. And so he has the artist suggest a theme, and I suggested the theme of departures. Being a teacher of writing, one of the rules we used was you have to write with your students. Now, if you give the same assignment over and over again, at least you have to share something you've written to that assignment. So when he said, well, you've got to come up with a theme, I said, well, my mini set has to myself, I said, it has to match that theme. So I did 7 songs of my own about departures among everybody else's songs.
That is wonderful. Let me quickly insert here that there's a slightly bit of different David bio stuff in here, which is really kind of cool. Since returning to Philly, he has 2 releases out. Sing Out, a very famous Sing Out magazine, described This Human Heart, a wonderful release, by the way, as all about intensity and passion. What a great release that is. Minor7th.com raved, quote, words are magically transmuted into music. Now, we kind of hinted at that at the beginning of the episode. And Francis Cry the Coyote named the news that's fit to sing, another great release, his homage to the topical songwriters of the 60s, among the year's 5 best releases. So I wanted to sneak that additional neat bio stuff in there, Dave.
If I can say one thing that's ironic and one tells you a little bit about music, a folk DJ named Angela Page reviewed my CD for Sing Out. I didn't know it was coming. I didn't really know Susan Page. I just sent out a CD to every DJ who was on the folk DJ. And then when I put out my second album, a studio album from Philadelphia called The News That's Fit to Sing, she writes me back and says, I was married to Jack Hardy.
What?
And yes, and then I got more on this. And she said, and the song just got him to a T. Then I'm playing the song in concert somewhere, and Lily Aniel, the very great local singer-songwriter, comes up to me and says, oh, I was very moved by your song. I was Jeff Hardy's girlfriend.
What? Oh, the plan.
It's just amazing. And now, if I might say, a fan of mine in France recently posted my song about Jack Hardy to a thread that was going from, I think it was David Massengill, about Jeff Hardy's death, because he was a bass player who played with many singer-songwriters, including, of course, Jack. And a French fan posted my song on that thread, unbeknownst to me, and I get a communication from Terry Roach of the Roach Sisters, who says, well, we used to play with Jack all the time. She sent me a picture of the Roaches with Jack and with Jeff and another Hardy brother.
Oh, my God.
So music can really connect people. And that song has been crazy. It's been
really
crazy.
And there's lots of magic there. And
yes.
In the songwriting, too, if we can relate this insight and this series of neat magical coincidences to songwriting is we do talk about tips for younger or more novice songwriters, but even for the mature songwriter, when you have that insight or see that connection, grab the pen. So we look at a couple of other sites, and of course, in terms of where to find music, you got an Apple Music site here, which is David Kleiner.
Absolutely.
So that's music.apple.com/artist/David-Kleiner. We'll have all large text on the final edit of this, and
and of course, I'm on all the streaming services, Spotify and many other more minor.
Yeah, you can see some of these great releases. I love the cover on the news that's fit to sing.
Well, it's based on Phil Oakes's cover from the news that's fit to sing, in which he was sitting on his guitar reading the New York Times, but he was sitting in front of a wall in New York City.
Yeah.
This photograph was taken by my friend Herb Engelsberg, and he did the cover for This Human Heart.
Yeah. So it's Apple Music. It's also available. Let me see. The Trio is also available on Apple Music.
Yes, it is.
That's deep.
It's an in-concert album. It really is the real deal.
So that second one out there on Apple Music is David Kleiner Trio. On Spotify, it's David Kleiner.
Can I say that the trio that made that recording was Richard Brown on harmonica and Emmanuel Angel on guitar. Richard has since moved to Florida, but I'm still playing with Emmanuel when I play a band gig. And I have other players that I play with.
Yes.
Jazz flute players and another harmonica player as well.
That's wonderful.
Yeah.
And of course on Spotify, David Kleiner.
There I am.
Yeah. A lot of wonderful, wonderful stuff here. Um, and on Sonic Bids.
This is my EPK, my electronic press kit.
Yeah.
It's it's there if anybody cares, but I think it has ways of getting in touch with me, which is one good thing for people.
So as you can see, folks, lots of great ways to look David up, find his music, support him and get his music, as well as supporting him when you see him out playing live. A wonderful singer-songwriter and great guitarist, as you can tell today, too. So we're just honored to have David Kleiner here. This is Songwriters Alive with Tom Cooney. Again, we're here on the first and third Monday at 7 p.m. Eastern Time on Rocking the Valley YouTube, and you can link off to rockingthevalley.com. Also, these live in perpetuity on Tom Cooney YouTube in the song list called Songwriters Alive, brilliantly named song list playlist out there. And we're part of the 7 to 8 p.m. Monday evening hour with the wonderful Not for Coltrane Mike Duck, who does the Cyber Café on the second and fourth Mondays at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. And Mike just has wonderful guests from all across the arts in the tri-state area and mostly in Greater Lehigh Valley. And just a wonderful, wonderful series. I encourage you to look up Mike's stuff as the artist Not for Coltrane. Talk about, you've been so generous in how you shared your insights into the many ways a song can be crafted and how contrast or suspense or insight is built and shared as a song goes on. I want to flip the coin over, and I want to talk about the development side of it, about the many different ways a song can come from, and what are some of the more typical ways for you, lyric first versus music? Do they come in flashes? Do you bake things for a long time? With every artist, it's different. And what is the process like for you? Kind of an open-ended question.
Well, I have a lot to say about that. I'd say for beginning songwriters, a lot of them get songs in a flash. I did early on. But after a while, you get to rely on craft. And I've written songs where I've written the melody completely first. I've written a couple songs where I did a melody on piano. But I'd say more than anything else, I come up with an interesting phrase. It comes to me. I hear something like my wife saying, I'm right about the rain. Me saying to my wife, you were right about the rain. Michael Carroll saying to me, well, I go there every night because when something finally happens there, I'll be there. I had another one where a woman told me her whole sad story, and as she was walking out, she said, well, I haven't cried yet. And I haven't cried yet, but, it's a song of mine. So I usually start with a line, and I just start singing it. And this is really I got from Fed Kohler. He just said, keep singing it over and over and over, and you'd be surprised how it expands. And I have written a number of songs I'm walking the dog in the park and I'm singing to myself. And I have my phone with me and I record on the memo. I don't know if we can see this.
Oh, yeah.
On the memo
Music
thing,
memos, yeah.
It's supposed to be voice memos.
Yeah.
But if you look through this list here, folk song, more melody, phrase for trying, more thoughts on windfall, a song I just finished, my lover now, first draft.
I also wanted to let folks know the kind of stuff that they'll hear when they do please go find David Kleiner's music. I have to share a couple of my favorites, which are just so insightful. Love Will Stay, My Beloved Is Mine, Jack Hardy's Blues, which of course you played, Hopeless Romantic, This Human Heart, the great title cut, and Something Between Us. And it also points out another thing I want to say about the music side of your equation is it is varied. There's great Latin effect on a number of your songs, a blues effect on a number of them, a jazz effect, and they're never heavy-handed. They're always underplayed, and they support what your lyrics are doing, And you hear a lot when songwriters, especially the younger ones, go heavy on their alt influences, and it overwhelms the compilation they're putting together. But you have a great sense, I think, of how to use the different styles in a very supportive way for what you're trying to do.
Well, I have to give a lot of credit on This Human Heart for Glenn Barrett and some of his studio players.
And Morningstar Studios.
At Morningstar Studios. He hardly changed anything in any arrangement in my songs. He took it as I brought it to the studio, but he really delivered the magic. And in Something Between Us, I have to say that is the greatest band I have ever played with. The trumpet player was John Dirth, my colleague and friend from Charlottesville. I had to bring the whole recording down there to get my harmonica player, Gary Green, who's literally won the world championship of harmonica, even though he was just a school teacher with me in the same high school. John Dirth, who's a great trumpet player, who's best known for putting together the Dave Matthews Band. And then Jeff Lee Johnson, the late, great Jeff Lee Johnson, who's playing bass and guitar. And that was, of course, a multi-tracked. And then Doc Gibbs on percussion, who was amazing. I was in the studio when he did that, and I was with Jeff when he played his parts. It was just amazing. So it's still relevant.
It's very fresh. It's
very fresh. I tried not to put in too much that would make that dated.
Yeah.
Whereas the other album is a topical album, but I tried to make it so that it's general. I have a song there that's based on blogs from soldiers in the Iraq War.
Yeah.
But I hope it applies more to what soldiers do. It was an assignment. I have a friend who was a talk show, sort of a lefty talk show host on the West Coast. And he was sick and fed up of people who use soldiers as a political tool when they don't really support the soldiers when it comes to it. And he just said, write the truth.
Yeah.
And not all lefties are happy with my song because I show respect for the soldiers there. But
well, you have to respect them. They're
you have to respect them. Yeah. So
yeah.
I hope
one of the great songs of John Gorka's I love is the title cut to "Writing in the Margins," about a soldier who's working the supply chain in Iraq, and it's just an incredibly insightful, concrete frontline song. What is this soldier doing and thinking about and worrying about on a daily basis?
Yeah.
Hey, David Kleiner is going to take us out, folks, with one more tune. Make sure you visit the sites that we've seen here and take a listen to Dave's music. Make sure to get some of Dave's music, more importantly. Support him when you see him out playing. As you can tell, a very versatile and accomplished and very craftful songwriter. And Dave, I got to tell you, it's been a gas having you here. I've looked forward to this for a long time.
Yeah. I'm going to do a new song. It's not my newest now, but it's from 2021. And I've been talking about forms, verses, chorus. This has an element that you find in a lot of current songs, has a pre-chorus. So this song has verses, has a pre-chorus, has a chorus, and a bridge. And here's a song that started from a phrase that's been bouncing around in my head for like 40 years. When I lived in Charlottesville, I had a back way to take people to Monticello, in which you went along the railroad tracks and then you went right up Monticello Mountain, because actually Monticello was close enough to Charlottesville that Mr. Jefferson could supervise the building of his University of Virginia with a telescope or whatever he had. So one time I was there, I was with a friend, a woman, and she was really scared when we got to the railroad bridge. What I didn't tell her at the time was, I'm kind of scared of heights myself. So this whole time I had in my head, well, I was the one afraid I might fall. And the double meaning of that, as I was taking this hike with an attractive woman, we didn't have that kind of relationship, but in the song, that's what I did. So this song just has double meanings to everything from the beginning to the end. So it's called I Always Get Broken When I Fall. That day we crossed the railroad bridge high above no man's land. You told me about your vertigo and you made me hold your hand. You were trembling, I was pretending that I was above it all. But I was the one afraid I might fall. I stayed on my feet, completely weak in the knees. I get in too deep, much too easily. I never understand the gravity of it all, so I always get broken when I fall. I always get broken when I fall. We heard a train coming from somewhere down the line. You were waiting for my signal, I was waiting for a sign. We got to safety, you embraced me and said this was a very close call. But I still was the one afraid I might fall. That moment was so sweet, could have thrown myself down at your feet. But that can hurt, history does repeat. All flame without the heat, I still get burned. I stayed on my feet, completely weak in the knees. I get in too deep, much too easily. I never understand the gravity of it all, so I always get broken when I fall. I always get broken when I fall. We laughed about how scared we'd been. You thanked me for my help. If you felt what I felt, you kept it to yourself. You said, let's head back. I was on the wrong track. Now you were above it all. And I was the one taking the fall. I stayed on my feet, completely weak in the knees. I get in too deep, much too easily. I never understand the gravity of it all, so I always get broken when I fall. I always get broken when I fall. I always get broken when I fall.
Wonderful song. Thank you so much. Folks, our guest has been David Kleiner, and please visit him on all the sites and visit him when he plays out live. Support a really good songwriter like this. Get his music and make sure to give him a holler when you do see him in person.
And I want to thank Tom Cooney for honoring and supporting independent music in general.
Thank you.
All the great songwriters he's had on this show.
No, thank you, David. It's good to keep the ball rolling and pass it forward. And we songwriters are a pretty good community. We support each other.
Very good. Very good.
Thank you so much again for being our guest. And we'll see you soon somewhere, I hope.
breath of twilight caresses the air. The river mist hangs sweet and fair. The evening swallows, they whisper their tune, dancing on the moon. Why have the stars called us here?